First up, he has been the voice of Porky Pig since 1990. He has also been the voice of Luke Skywalker from all of the Star Wars video games, or a huge series of the Star Wars video games, in addition to Robot Chicken as well. He has done a ton of anime, including No Face and Frog from Spirited Away, Lupin in Lupin III. We met him as Porky Pig very early on in one of my favorite series, Duck Dodgers. Speaking of Duck Dodgers, we've got a connection here in just a second. But let's welcome first to the virtual stage, Bob Bergen, everyone.
Oh my gosh, it worked! Yay!
You did it. That's the hardest part of the panel, Bob.
What's going on?
Turning the camera on. Thank you so much for being here. This is so awesome and such a pleasure to have you. So
My pleasure.
Where we have folks watching from around the world. I always like to check in as folks pop on the screen, and just where are you currently zooming in from state-wise?
I am in Los Angeles, so California.
Very nice. California. Awesome. Well, thank you and welcome for being here. Speaking of Duck Dodgers, they worked together on Duck Dodgers. We had Porky Pig. We also had Captain Star Johnson about to come out in a bit. But before all of that amazing voice work, we knew him from some of our favorite soaps. We knew him as Jay Peterman in Seinfeld, and he brought that iconic voice to life, again, as Captain Star Johnson, as Walter Bunny in the Looney Tunes, as Roger Doofenshmirtz in Phineas and Ferb, and as King Neptune in SpongeBob SquarePants. Please welcome to the virtual stage, John O'Hurley.
Oh, thank you very much. But do you mind if I start again and reintroduce myself? That was a little sparse.
Yes. Would you like to go? I can bring up your Wikipedia.
No, I'll take it. I'll take it from here.
Done. Go for it.
Ladies and gentlemen, he is the man who killed Seinfeld. In a career that began some 35 years ago with a badly lip-synced version of The Yellow Rose of Texas for a KTEL record commercial of Mitch Miller's greatest hits. Since then, he's managed to kill 3 series of his own, 4 soap operas. He's guest starred on more than 50 television shows. Not one is still on the air. And during Sweeps, that golden week of television ratings, he managed to take not 1, not 2, but 3 shows off the air in 1 week. Ellen, Seinfeld, and Damon. Ladies and gentlemen, the Grim Reaper of television.
Wow.
John O'Hurley.
My God.
Now that's an introduction.
Yeah, John, that was way better. If only you had messaged me that in the chat right beforehand, I would have done my best, John O'Hurley, and I would have welcomed you on here. Thank you, John, for being here. That's the first time that I've had someone reintroduce themselves, and so that's amazing. We've done hundreds of these virtual panels, and still we're learning new things and trying out some new stuff. So thank you, John, for that amazing intro.
I have to protect this misspent youth.
Angie C on YouTube said that is quite a resume, John. So, and you got applause from Letitia. So we've got everybody's checking in. Let's bring out our 4 other amazing actors, or 2 out of 4. I'm still waiting in the wings, everybody. We met her first on Beakman's World. My gosh, one of my favorite shows growing up. She is a huge part of the Legally Blonde franchise. Legally Blonde 3 coming up hopefully soon. She is from the hilarious film Waiting, from the series See Dad Run, but she has provided multiple voices in the award-winning film Rango. She is from El Tigre, The Adventures of Manny Rivera, The Spectacular Spider-Man, Pound Puppies. Most recently, we saw her as Mama Imelda in Coco. Please give it up for Alanna Ubach.
Yay!
Yay! Thank you.
Alanna, I apologize for not having the melodious tone of John's voice. We should have just had John really intro everyone, let's be honest.
And then we Venmo him afterwards.
Yeah, my gosh. I feel like it's everyone's dream in life to be introduced into a room by John O'Hurley. I mean, let's be honest. Let's be honest.
Or out of a room.
That's true. That's true. You are the Grim Reaper.
It would be so nice if you weren't here.
Oh my gosh. We could do that. We could have John. You could just outro all 4 of us, and then you could just sort of take the panel from there.
Time for you to go.
We met. We know Bob is tuning in from California. John, where are you zooming in from for everyone around the world?
I am in the boudoir of my home in Beverly Hills.
Very nice. Very nice. So also California. And Alanna?
I'm in the Canyon. I'm in Los Angeles as well. I'm in Laurel Canyon.
Well, awesome.
Papas.
Yeah, and I know we share our love and wish the best of safety to those folks affected by the fires that are going on in California. Also, those folks affected by the hurricane. We know some are tuning in right now, so we wish you the best of safety during these times and recovery. Last but certainly not least, the audience is like, "Where's Debbie? Bring Debbie out. Stop talking, Mike." She is from the Sailor Moon franchise, the Tenchi series. She is Draculaura in Monster High. She is the voice of the aliens in Toy Story. That's right, the aliens, one of the best parts of Toy Story. She is Coco Bandicoot in the Crash Bandicoot video game series, but famously is Jimmy Neutron in Jimmy Neutron. Her current series is F is for Family. Let's welcome to the virtual stage, Debi Derryberry. Yay!
Sorry, I had to put the baby and the dogs to out. Hi, everybody.
That was good. That was our first time, I think, entrance with actual self-made sound effects. Nice work. Nice work.
It's a living. Thanks for having me. It's nice to be here with all of you, Bob and John and Alanna. Hey, and thanks for the nice intro, Mike. And thank you all for being here from around the world.
Yes. This is so cool. This is so awesome. I speak on behalf of the fans just to say thank you all for being here. We know the world is crazy, but we can all relate to cartoons, and you know what I mean? We grew up with them. We watch them currently. It doesn't matter how old or how young you are. Everyone in the world loves cartoons. And so we appreciate you being here for this Voice of Cartoons panel. And Debbie, where are you zooming in from?
Lindsay, I'm in my office in Toluca Lake, which is kind of by Universal Studios in LA. Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice. So we got four Californians in the house. So
I spend
welcome.
most of my waking hours right here in this chair.
That's so awesome. That's so awesome. Yeah. Well, I mean, the one thing we've talked to a lot of anime actors and a lot of voice actors actually on these panels. And the one thing that's been constant during this quarantine has been the ability for voice actors to continue to work. And so, we're excited for any content that you're currently working on, or, that folks in the voice industry are currently working on. So we shout out to all the creators and writers and producers of, those current cartoon series. I want to kick things off, and we'll just kind of go around the room. Just reflecting a little bit back, what is it like to be such an influence on children and being voices in cartoons? There's a lot of things you can voice over. There's video games, there's anime and things like that. But so many of you have brought so many iconic characters to life that children know and love. You can see some of them over my shoulder here. Those are just some of the main ones. But my gosh, countless and countless voices. Bob, let's start with you. Just talk a little bit about what it was like. So many amazing voiceover actors have taken on this role of Porky Pig. Mel Blanc, obviously being one of the most famous. But you've been doing it for so long now, and you are the official voice of Porky Pig. What was it like taking that on, and then just being such an influence for kids watching Looney Tunes around the world?
Well, I'll correct you this much.
Go for it.
I'm not the official voice. None of us are the official voice. We're just the voice the day they hire us.
Wow,
no matter who's voicing what classic character, we don't have a lifetime contract. Mel Blanc did, because Mel Blanc was Mel Blanc, and nobody will top Mel Blanc.
Sure.
I will tell you, though, that none of us really knew we had an impact on anybody other than enjoying each other's company at sessions and doing what we love until we started going to these fan conventions. I can remember going to my first fan convention, and I'm just walking, down the hall, and people are like noticing me, and then they follow me into the restroom, and then and people would ask for my autograph. I'm like, you guys know who we are? It blew my mind. And then we would do wonderful panels like this, and all of us were on the same boat, that this is just mind-boggling that people not only, we just didn't know how we touched fans. So that we're talking now 25, 30 years ago when I first started going to fan conventions.
Sure.
I'm so glad you guys are doing this, because I miss this touchstone that we have for the people that enjoy our product. And thank you guys for tuning in today, and thank you for continuing to watch it. I do not take it for granted.
That's so awesome. That's so awesome. Debbie, talk a little bit, obviously longtime voice actor, so many iconic characters that are just beloved by children around the world. Talk a little bit about getting into it, and then also the fan experience, like Bob was touching on.
Well, I want to be a country singer, but nobody would hire me to sing like a grown-up. I moved to Nashville. What?
Never too late, baby.
She sings.
I do. I continue to sing, but in Nashville, I got hired to sing like a baby. And then somebody said, do cartoons. So I came back to LA to do cartoons. And like Bob, we don't really hear the feedback. And when we started this, there wasn't even an internet. We had a beeper. And now that there's conventions and ways for fans to reach me, and being able to be the voice of Jimmy Neutron, who's like the most wholesome, smart kid. And it's such a great show. As a parent myself, I was really happy to have my kids sit down and watch Jimmy Neutron because it was smart, It wasn't vulgar and bloody. And although I do love vulgar and bloody on my adult shows, but if you want wholesomeness for kids, you can't get any better than Jimmy Neutron and Curious George. And
yes.
I love it when parents will tell me my kids love that show, or when I'm at a con and people will come to the table and they'll actually be in tears. They'll be like, you made my childhood. You are my childhood. I'm like, I didn't even know. It's very flattering, and I'm lucky to be in it and glad that there's a way to make a living when you sound like me. It's a super great job. And like Bob, grateful every moment. Don't take it for granted. And I just thank you, everybody, for being here. I love it.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate you being here as well, Debbie and Bob and John and Alanna. Alanna, I want to turn to you and really and John too. You both became popular, right up front for your, in-person acting, if you will. I don't like to differentiate it. I think all acting is acting. It's just different mediums,
You can say on camera or voiceover acting.
There we go. Yeah. But Alanna, what was it? We'll start with you, just making, not really the transition, but just how did you sort of get into voice acting, being a part of everything right up front?
Well, cartoons were always my babysitters growing up. I mean, I was a total latchkey kid. So I had, I'll never forget it. I would go home and then it would be pre-taped Merry Melodies. I had it on my VHS.
Oh, yes.
And then I had Wait Till Your Father Gets Home, which was an adult cartoon. Does anyone remember Wait Till Your Father Gets Home? It was very, very West Coast, right? And then it was the Benny Hill Show. So yes. I never thought, if anything, they gave me hope that you can actually make a career out of being weird. You can get paid for acting like a freak. And then, I started to really master the art of crane crawling when I was a little kid. So it sort of makes sense. The Jerky Boys before they became the Jerky Boys.
Oh, the Jerky Boys. Nice, good reference.
Yeah. And it was funny. I was in my early 20s and my manager said, Alanna, you sound like a little boy. You have this gravelly, weird voice that could probably do really well in voiceovers. I said, you think? She said, absolutely. And you speak Spanish. So when I started getting these gigs and looking around and meeting all these incredible voiceover actors and thinking, what an amazing world, because everyone is so happy and everyone leaves their egos at the door. And there's something really beautiful about that. This bubble in particular is a really incredible planet to be working on.
That's so cool. Well, and you mentioned speaking Spanish, and I just want to sort of tag off of that. How does it feel to be bringing these characters to life? I know you're of Puerto Rican and Mexican heritage, and we have this beautiful Coco film from Pixar. We have obviously El Tigre. What was it like bringing that sort of culture to the cartoon world and that representation?
El Tigre was a very interesting cartoon because it was very fast and wacky, and it really did celebrate the Mexican American cultura. That is very, very similar to especially Los Angeles. That influence. In certain neighborhoods, et cetera. And this kid was just a neighborhood kid with a Mexican father and a Mexican. With two different generations living in the same house, all these three generations of men living together. And that was really fun for me. When Coco came around, I really didn't know what the movie was about. They're like Fort Knox, obviously, Pixar, when it comes to sharing whatever content they have or what they're trying to build. And it was very interesting. When I first read the scene, I thought, is she at the DMV? Why is she so mad that her photo isn't somewhere? She's got to be at the DMV. And so I get there and they're like, no, she's dead. She's dead. and so it's funny. I would do one scene at a time for the recording. So you really didn't know, you don't really know what it all is until it's finally put together and you see it for the first time on the screen with everyone else. And you think, oh my gosh, this is very important. And I took my mom, of course, who's from Sinaloa, and she was just blown away.
Yeah, it's a beautiful film. I don't think anyone didn't shed a tear during that film, just for not only its storyline about family, but also its representation of the culture was so awesome. So yeah, congratulations on that.
Thank
for sure.
You. Thank you so much.
Yeah, John, let's get to you. Obviously, a huge soap star. You are Jay Peterman, one of the most iconic characters in Seinfeld. You're my personal favorite host of Family Feud. So you've got, I feel like there are two very, very broad groups of voice actors. There are those voice actors that kind of like change their voice to make like different voices. And then there are voice actors that are cast because of their voice. That is clearly the situation with you. Your voice is so crazy amazing that it just fits and you're cast as your voice, but for these fun characters. Again, talk a little bit about the transition or, some of your first moments with voiceover.
Well, honestly, it became, as a result of Seinfeld, I would say that the industry opened the doors to me.
Sure.
Prior to that, I'd had minimal success, but no one was kind of out there listening for me. And all of a sudden, Peterman burst on into Seinfeld, and at his heart, Peterman is a storyteller. And that's what I love. I love language, and I'm addicted to language. And I think one of the strengths of animation is that it allows you to take the time to really play with each line as it is meant. You don't have that. I don't have that permission on stage when I'm on Broadway. I don't have that permission even when I'm doing a film. If I'm doing a television, I don't have the permission to actually take the time and give you 3, 5, 10, 20 takes of one line with different inflections on every one of them, so that this wonderful thing called animation becomes really an incredible piece of poetry. I find lyrically, animation is probably the best storyteller that there is.
I agree.
Because, remember that, if I'm doing a film, I'm getting maybe 3 takes of a scene, but I'm not really doing it a different way. I'm kind of decided on the way that I'm doing it, or I'm working out of the moment. But in animation, you get to sit in a studio in your pajamas and sit there and have fun and play with verbs and play with nouns. Wait a minute, I'm sorry, John.
You wear pajamas? You wear clothes?
Only from the waist up.
Got it. Okay.
Whoa.
Just
there we
clear
go.
things up.
I'm still in them. I'm the only. There's only one guy left in Hollywood that makes a living off in his pajamas. Hugh Hefner's gone, and it's me.
That's right.
But it goes. But let me just finish what I'm saying. It gives you an opportunity to really play with words. And Shakespeare once said, the play is the thing, not the actor, not the producer, not the play, the words are what. And so what I love about, and you were talking earlier about leaving your ego at the door. We all do, because it's all about the words and the fun that we can have with the language. And there are so many different ways. There's a million ways to do any one line.
Wow.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, Alanna, you kind of jumped in and said that you completely agree. Similar, what are your reflections on that being like the greatest form of storytelling is voiceover, and just the freedom that you get to try out new things and express new feelings?
It really is like recording a song, because it really is about timing, and kids respond to quick and they respond to pep and energy, and you're playing these characters that you wouldn't necessarily be able to play on camera. Yeah. I'm on Crossing Swords, and I play the Queen of England who has a sex addiction. And I think, well, I would hardly get cast as the Queen of England in person. I mean, I look like I should maybe be doing press for the Queen of England, maybe being a PR person, but I certainly don't look like the Queen of England. So you are playing all of these interesting characters and suspending belief, and it's super cool.
And if I can say something, Alanna touched on something, and so did John. People who don't do what we do, most of the time we record the voices first. Every once in a while we have to go in and sweeten it to pictures called ADR, but we start the recording if it's a series, a year before we ever see it. If it's a feature, it could be 2 to 5 years. Yeah. And Alanna was touching upon this. When we do a feature, I mean, unless you're a major, your name is Tom Hanks, we don't see the whole script. We only see the parts that we're in. And then we go to the movie 5 years later, and we're like, oh, that's the story. Oh, I'd have played that totally different if I knew that was the story.
Yeah. I video game. Like in video games, you never ever know what's going on.
You don't know what's going on.
The director has to tell you the line before your line what's going on. And not only that, but you can't tell anybody and you don't get to know beforehand if you're going in blind.
It's wild. It is. You are 100% going in blind. You don't really know what it's about. We are the last people that really know what it's about. But it's funny. I had no idea. I'm working on Crossing Swords, which is Crossing Swords for Hulu. It's stop animation. There are these like little peg play school toys and we're making fun of obviously that they don't have arms, etc. And I was just walking out of Stupid Buddy Productions where they record most of all of the actors. And by the way, we never see each other anymore. You usually go to a very solitary business now where all of the voiceover actors are recorded separately, not together. So if you're in a scene with someone, you have absolutely no idea how they did it. Sometimes they'll play it for you so you can hear what the other actor did and they'll give you the choice that they liked. But it's just very interesting. I walked out and I met the woman who said, "Oh my gosh, I do your expression. I do your eyebrows." You do? She was like, yeah, I have like 30 different eyebrows of yours that when I listen to your inflections or whatever, it's the angry eyebrows. And she was showing me all of these, all of the different expressions on the peg characters that they do for stop animation. It was intriguing. It was
what else is, go ahead.
Robot Chicken.
The fun part about animation also is you get to help the animators because you just have a line, and like John said, you can read it, you give them an ABC or, an A through F, different reads, and the producers will pick which ones they want, but you can look at the stage direction and, it's all choreographed. She walks in, she trips, she goes down the hill 3 times before she face plants in a pile of sand, and then she pulls her head out and says through a mouthful of mud, "I love you." And then all that choreography, you do it to give the animator something to do. And it's the joy of voiceover. And you can tell and hear a seasoned voice actor rather than somebody who isn't, because they'll just say, "I love you." And there isn't all that fun stuff that we get to do.
Yeah, you vocalize exposition. I mean, that's what separates the amateur from the professionals. They can see in that script all those delicious moments that you can vocalize. And Tom Hanks, God bless him, I saw him on a talk show years ago where he said Toy Story was so hard because as an actor, he didn't realize how much he relied on a glance or a look or a raised eyebrow. And you got to vocalize a raised eyebrow. How do you do that? Well, it's what we do.
Yeah, it does. I go back to understanding and that the voice is a musical instrument and it has to be treated as such. And that's probably kind of the genesis of the voice of Jay Peterman, is that everything was up here or down here like that. I just rolled it, but that was a practice thing that I did. It wasn't, all of a sudden just spontaneous where I walked in like that. I had my musicality down with that script before I walked into the script reading. I knew exactly what I was going to do with each line and play because he was that type of character. Animation has that same type of feel. Your voice is a musical instrument and you learn. And to underscore what we're talking about, what Bob was saying about the difference between somebody who does this for a living and somebody who's just doing it, is that you learn to accentuate certain things. To begin with, for me, my priority is the verbs. I start off my verbs, then I work on my adjectives and my adverbs. The nouns and the pronouns mean nothing to me. But I learn to color in as many different ways as I possibly can, and I focus on those things. So in many ways, I've got a violin in my arms, and I am giving that sense of the adagio when I feel that it needs it. And that's the joy of animation. You have the time and the privilege to do that. Now, point number 2 is someone that we've neglected to talk about is how powerful the directors are for us.
100%.
Because remember, they are telling us the story as we are creating the scene for you or the lines for you. But they're giving you, now he's really upset here, so don't be afraid to really respond sympathetically here. Slow down, take his time. Directors in animation are so acute on the power of the spoken word that they are listening for the inflection, where a movie director is, okay, we got that shot.
And that's the thing in voice acting too, is the directors will expect the voice actor to be able to take that adjustment. Like John, you said that you had it planned out in your head how you were going to say that line. But if the director said to you, I really want it this way, the voice actor's not married to how they practice it. You have to be able to change it up to please the director, because we don't always know what's going on. And again, you can tell the seasoned voice actor because they will take that adjustment. They'll emphasize a different word, or they'll change the music in it. And it sounds kind of easy, but it's not. It's a learned technical skill, and it's fun to be able to do it. But the directors have to know what words to use to get that actor to make that change. Go up at the end, emphasize a different word, put some more musicality in it, cry in it, let me hear your tears. All those things are skills that we all have that we bring to the table to make it happen. And there's tricks.
This is so amazing. And the chat is just like, we're basically getting a free masterclass in voice acting from you all. So this is so cool. And the chat is just super into like quoting everything that they've been hearing. Mouse Mini has been asking questions about this. Platinum Saki, Rayla Powell specifically asked about any advice for aspiring voice actors. You talked a little bit about the process. Debbie, look at that. You had that ready, Debbie. Show us it again. It's okay to plug yourself a little bit. Look at that. Voiceover 101. I'd love to just bounce around. John, you gave us some words of beautiful wisdom already. But anyone else? We have a lot of folks watching in the chat right now that are interested or curious about just words of wisdom for.
First of all, it's called voice acting. Acting, no matter how you slice it, it's acting.
Yes.
The script is a skeleton. Your job is to give it a body. These aren't voices that we're doing. These are characters that we're doing. When an actor has an audition, and even if they're just wild lines, 5 or 6 wild lines, there is an unheard scene partner in every scene. The actor, the character has got to relate to the scene partner just as if this were on stage or film. Who am I talking to? What's my relationship? Where are we? The microphone is the ear of your scene partner. Where you are on mic corresponds with where the characters are in the scene. Now, you don't see the scene. 80% of animation is in the imagination. So your job, you've got to be bigger than life, and if you physically play the character, the voice will follow. Debbie will tell you this because we both teach. You got to stay on mic, but you got to still use your body. The Pixar people, Alanna, they're wonderful at that. Because it's tug of war, if you're doing a scene, you're doing a tug of war, you're doing stuff like this.
It's interesting. It really depends on the age that I'm playing. But if I do play a kid that's much younger, I have to sit down. It does something where it just sort of relaxes my belly and allows me to go to just find a more relaxed place in a child's voice.
Yeah.
And yes, if I am doing a lot of physical stuff, then I'm standing the entire time. But it was interesting what you were saying. A lot of people, are naturally gravitate toward the world of animation because it does seem very simple. But I've always found that the characters that I loved watching as a child, I ended up mimicking as an adult and doing characters that were very similar to that. So it really, you got to find out you got to discover what you gravitate toward. What kind of cartoons do you like to watch? What kind of animation? There's so many. There's such a lot of content out there.
And Debbie, do a little Jimmy Neutron right now.
Oh, okay. Oh, got him lost.
All right, stop for a second. Do you guys see her face? Her mouth changed shape. Her eyes looked different. Jimmy Neutron's a little boy. He doesn't talk like Debbie Derryberry. He's got a whole different facial expression. This is what I meant by if you physically play the character, the voice will follow. So all of us, I remember working with John on Duck Dodgers, and he'd be standing like this. His posture would change. The voice stayed the same, but the character, the posture changed. It's just that physical is so important when you're playing these characters.
And it's challenging to have that physical in front of the microphone and be very expressive and loud or intimate, and keep that distance between the microphone where it'll still read and not overmodulate. And we use our knees and we get to be best friends with our personal microphones, and we know where you need to be, where you need to place it. Like sometimes I'll say a P, like primordial, and I'll be like, that popped. Primordial. And we have our little tricks to handle these consonants and the emotions, and we'll write our gain on our interface to make sure that we don't blow it out on a perfectly screamy scene. It's very technical.
No, it's so
very
cool.
Technical. Very, very technical.
Yeah, and Edward Bova, I just want to shout out to some of the fans, because again, they're all just like discussing and like reacting to everything you're saying. And I want to, some of the questions that are coming through are exactly what you're answering. How do you prepare? How do you get in the role? Alanna, you talked a little bit about like sitting when you're a kid,
Yes, when you're a kid. It works for me. I love sitting down. Most actors, most voice actors don't. I really do like it, because the more relaxed I am, the better the performance for me, if anything. There's also, for auditions, it's interesting because now we have these little things called iPhones, everyone. And we can go to voice memo and record our auditions. So I usually like to go into the closet and hide in there and record my auditions while I'm looking at my sides. I mean, it's about as glamorous as, a trip to Taco Bell.
I'll go you one better. I host the national dog show on Thanksgiving.
Yes,
Day.
you do.
Every year.
A lot of people are shouting out to that, John. People are like, we love you at the dog show. Yeah.
And I will tell you that there are times when we need a little bit of a phrase or redone or something in the post-production. And you're right. I'm in my clothes closet with my microphone.
Wow.
Do the visual.
Yeah, there are no echoes. There's no echoes. It's fantastic. It's like you have you have padded walls by the clothes. The walls are padded.
A lot of folks are asking.
Carpet on the floor.
And by the way, some of my suits are too. I'm sorry, I just won't change.
Pajamas, John. Remember pajamas. We have a bunch of. I'm sure you've had this question before, but a lot of fans are curious. DJ Gemin Joe 94 and Edward Bova, specific characters that are your favorites, or the ones that you enjoy bringing to life the most for all of you.
Well, I like the pig. The pig's good. He's fun.
I got into the business because I wanted to be that character. So
that's
I'm
awesome.
very blessed to play that character.
Really?
That's awesome.
Yeah, I was 5 when I told my mom I wanted to be Porky Pig, and she said, "You can't be Porky Pig, you're Jewish." And I didn't know what that meant because we were bad Jews. But you know what? It's so people say, "What's your favorite character?" Man, I've got characters I've played that I've loved. But you know what's really exciting? And I'll bet everybody will say the same thing. The next character that you haven't done yet.
Yeah.
All of us audition. And no matter where you are in your career, we audition every single day as if we're brand new. And every once in a while you get that script, whether you book it or not, you have as much fun creating that character just for that audition. Because look, we didn't get into this business. We're very fortunate people. We're able to make a living doing what we love. But there's no guarantee. If there's anything in life that you would do for free, do it. I'm very fortunate that I make a living at this, but my God, I would do this for free because I enjoy my auditions as much as I enjoy the work.
Yep, the auditions are so much fun. You have to enjoy the auditions because I do close to 15 a day.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a lot.
But nobody's there to tell you what you can't do, so you can do anything.
Yeah, that's a very good
All
point.
day, every day.
I mean, our jobs really are to audition well, not to get. The job comes because somebody happened to like what you did, but that's not your responsibility. You may sound like somebody's ex-husband or somebody like that. You're not going to get the job. I don't care what you sound like. Yeah. And but that's not your job. Your job is to do your best as with the material that you've been given, to play with it and to tell stories. That's it. I want to say one other thing real quickly too, because we were talking about advice for the up and coming.
Yes.
We talked a little bit about it before, and the idea of some people like myself tend to be a little more uni or myopic and just a uni style. In other words, I have an urbane style to me, and so I cornered the market on pompous assholes, and that's okay. What I don't do well is a myriad of other voices, but other people, and most of them are on this call right now, have a wonderful quiver of arrows that they can draw from and throw them across the bow and try it on the script. And so there are two different ways to approach it. Have a great character or have a great quiver of arrows that you can try different characters out on. Yes. So, I mean, that's the easiest way to look at it.
But can I
I think you're selling yourself short, John.
Can I quickly share a John O'Hurley story?
Go for it.
John was on Broadway doing Chicago. And I had a friend who went to New York on business and he's going to see Chicago. I said, oh, I'm doing Duck Dodgers with John. Go backstage and say hi. He goes, I can't just do that. He doesn't know me from Adam. So my friend saw your wife sitting by herself and just didn't know it was your wife, but walked up there and said, are you with John O'Hurley by any chance? She goes, how do you know that? He goes, just a guess. Well, my friend Bob is Porky Pig. And, well, sit with me and we'll go backstage afterwards. So he goes backstage and he goes, I'm friends with Bob Bergen. And John said, I know Bob Bergen. He taught me to bark like a dog.
Now, let me tell you that. But let me tell you that I wrote that in my first book, dog book. I've written a bunch of dog books, but I did write that. And most people don't realize, and I never, it's like people always say, bark like a dog, and everybody goes, woof, woof. And they don't realize that to the ear, the bark is an inhale, not an exhale. It's
that's my man. There you go.
And and you were the guy that told me. And I remember that. And I go, that may be one of the most fascinating tips I've ever been given. And do you know that right now across the globe, there's probably 100,000 people going, so listen.
Oh, and it's an inhale.
No, we're all practicing. It's an inhale.
Very good, my friend.
Mine are outies. My bark's an outie.
Oh,
well, everybody's different.
I want to add in a question from Grant Martinez, who's also watching, because we're touching on so many things, which is so amazing. But yeah, I want to again get back to and start with you, Bob, just about a dream character, because you started to mention it, and then I want to get to the other three about favorite characters and then sort of dream characters. You talked about the next character is your favorite, or what you're aspiring to be is like that next thing. Do you have something in your mind, like either stylistically or property wise that you're looking for?
No,
just whatever it is. Yeah.
I'm not a writer. I'm not a creator. But what I would love is, before I go, I would love a Bart Simpson, a SpongeBob, a Jimmy Neutron, creating something original that hasn't been done before. So because I'm kind of well known for taking the classics and keeping them going. And we've all done those characters, but they may last a season or two. I would love to have that something that just somebody else has to take it over because I'm retiring. That hasn't happened for me.
Yeah, that's an awesome point. Debi, you obviously got the opportunity to create a bunch of characters. Anyone that sticks out as your favorite, and then anything that you're looking forward to trying out in the future?
Over the course of my career, it's been fun I started out just feeling really comfortable just doing little girl voices, because that's where my voice was and that's what it sounded like. And then after I had my kid, I was able to do a mom's voice because I could feel what it felt like to be a mom. I transitioned into, now I can do granny voices, and there's tricks to all of these voices. I did one on with Howie Mandel on a show called Bobby's World.
So good.
I played Jackie. Where is she on this picture? She looked like, she had these long pigtail ponytails. There she is, right there. There.
Yes.
Yay.
And the trick to Jackie was less. I don't ever sit down to record, but Alanna, I may have had to sit down for this one because he sounded like this. Yeah. She couldn't go, like I'd emote and the director would be like, no, less. Okay. Is this less enough? I would be like eating the microphone to get that personality through. But I'm doing this new one that's F is for Family is so much fun. I do this one called Bridget, and she curses like a sailor. She will go at your dad's whatchamacallit and beat you to where do you know with it. I think there's more curse words than non-curse words, and for me that's super fun because I love preschool. I love doing cartoons for kids, but once in a while we want to let loose, you know. It's just fun to explore everything, and for a voice I would like to do, like Bob, I just have fun doing every single thing we do. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe it'd be fun to be paid to speak like a grown-up as a principal. I don't really get paid to talk like normal people. I'm mushrooms and squirrels and, gophers and cursing children. And, Helpy on Tigtone on Adult Swim. This is Helpy.
Yes.
Yeah. Helpy can regenerate. You can cut off his arm. It's just all fun. I like it all.
It's all fun, and we love hearing it. We love hearing it, and that's
If you're not having fun, no one's going to have fun watching the cartoon. They're not going to have. I mean, you have to. It's imperative. It can't be a job. It really can't be a job.
And you know what? It beats working for a living.
Play. It really beats working for a living. Absolutely. It's all about play. It is all about playtime. What I really like to do also is look at very interesting voices like Helen Mirren. I'll watch about 5 minutes of her in an interview before I go in and do Crossing Swords as the Queen of England. If I can hear them, there was this one character that I did just recently, and I was mimicking. I found myself trying to mimic Cate Blanchett in Blue Jasmine. She had a very she was upper crust, upstate New York, and she was, from a family of means, and she had this kind of voice about and it worked. It worked for that. But be ready to mimic. That to me is such an art unto itself. Is mastering the art of copying sometimes.
Good ear.
And then everyone has 200 other voices in your head, and you're like, wait a second, I think this might be really fun. For this, I got this for this, and it really is a matter of what choice you're going to make. When I watch Family Guy, I think to myself, those are clearly not their voices in person. They're just these amazing. Who would have thought that Alex Bornstein would be a New Yorker living in the Midwest? To Seth MacFarlane's character, who is clearly Midwest, but then it's just reminiscent of all of those fun cartoons back in the 80s where you're like, what is this New Yorker living in Texas with this accent, married to a guy who sounds like he's from Milwaukee? It's just this fun amalgamation of all these different accents and characters and voices, and anyway, I love it.
So you can pull from a huge bag of tricks, and the longer we're in this business, we end up, can you do the Midwestern accent and the New York accent? Can you do a sideways lisp? Can you be a teenager? I layer these things, and in my classes, I teach people, like if you have a typical teenage voice, and then you take that teenage voice and you put braces on it. So now she's a teenager with braces. And then maybe, maybe she's from Wisconsin then. Okay, offer crying in the mud. Now, what do you type? So you just reach in your bag of tricks and you throw them all together and you make a pie.
Yeah, that deserves a little applause right there. Just that transition of voices. My goodness. And I love that we're talking about adult. I mean, my gosh, we've all said it. All of you on the call have said this, that the creativity is just, it abounds. You know what I mean? You can really take anything. And even the adult cartoons are so brilliantly put together and beautiful. There's so many amazing voice actors out there and just putting on these amazing shows. So Alanna, we talked Crossing Swords, so good. John, obviously you got to work on Archer. What a great character.
Well, it's good that you bring that up because I love if you say what characters do you love, I love that style of that wonderful 40s radio drama. I mean, it was a style, and because I play against it and I like to be self-deprecating. I mean, I can have more fun with those characters because they're absolute raving lunatics. If they're written well, that's the sense of I was reading my name on the back of the door. Rignod Kusun. Just these wonderful, wonderful stylized, and I love doing that. But I also, I look at my favorite characters that I played, and obviously Phineas and Ferb. I loved, I think the funniest, I just think one of the great series ever written. It was Seinfeld for kids. And whether I was on it or not, I watched it. And I would watch it time and time again. It is one of the most imaginative, funny shows there is. Now, but then you have SpongeBob and you have King Neptune. And I want to tell you a little story because you want to talk about how it affects kids. I have a group of behavioral psychologists that use me as a tool. And they use King Neptune because all the kids know King Neptune now that they're in their behavioral problem era. And they use King Neptune to talk to the kids. And the psychologists will send me a series of bullet points that they would like me to communicate to the children. Genius. And I do it in the voice of King Neptune. And isn't that amazing that like you can say to somebody one thing, but somebody else has the influence. Isn't that interesting that an animated character would have such influence to them? And, so I look at that and I just go, I have to kind of give myself a little pinch that, for whatever reason brought me this far, I was supposed to be doing that as well.
John, you were talking about how you think you just have, or you say you have this one voice, but in VO, the things that affect your performance are not just your voice. You have your tone, your pacing, you have your attitude, and all of those things create the characters for your different
acting
things.
and reacting. So it's like Lorenzo Music used to say, I just do one thing. Like, dude, you do that one thing for so many different things, but it works because of authenticity. That's what acting is. It's being truthful.
Platinum Saki is curious. We've mentioned a bunch of iconic voice actors over the course of this. Do you have a greatest voice actor that you've either met or someone that you kind of like look to as inspiration?
Bob?
Well, I live in Bob Bergen's shadow.
John DiMaggio.
I got to tell you, for me, it was Dawes Butler. I studied with Dawes Butler off and on for 10 years. And for people who don't know who Dawes was, Yogi Bear, Huckleberry Hound, Elroy Jetson, Tom McGraw, Snagglepuss. And within my classes over 10 years were Nancy Cartwright, Bill Farmer, Corey Burton, Patty Paris, Mona Marshall. Everybody had MMBBDD. That's interesting. Debbie Derryberry, were you there?
No, I didn't get here till after Smurfs, which was after
Dawes.
Bam Bam? Did Elroy do the Bam Bam voice?
No, that was Don Messick. Messick was Bam Bam, and Dawes Butler was Elroy. But Dawes was the first. I'd studied voiceover for years. He was the first teacher to use the A word, acting, and he also taught us to physically play the character because when he did Yogi Bear, he would stick his chest out, and that's how he did the voice. And if he went from this character to Snagglepuss even. He had to change his physical so the voices wouldn't blend if they were talking side by side. So that's one of the tricks that we do. If you physically play the character, the voice will follow. Because for scale, which is the minimum they have to pay us for TV, they got you for at least 2 characters. If you do a third, you get an additional 10%. So I one time had a 7-way conversation with myself once on a show called Fraggle Rock. And, I think that's when I discovered Margaritas because I was like, whoa, I'm Sally Field and Sybil. Holy crud. But you've got to adjust so much with the facial expressions and the body language. But Dawes Butler, going back to your original question, he was a mensch. He was a guru. He was brilliant. June Foray would come to class. Penny Singleton would come to class. Lucille Bliss would come to people working. Don Messick would come because it was just gold.
That's so awesome. I heard there were a couple, we all kind of, everyone got excited and shouted out a couple of names overlapping each other. Any other ones stick out to anyone else on the panel?
I don't have one that sticks out, but I work with so many different people, and I learn so much from watching different voice actors, from watching Bob or E.G. or Gray or
D. Bradley Baker
or D. Oh my God, D.
That's the beauty of being in these recording sessions with other actors. That was Charlie Adler to me is such.
He's so shy though. He's so shy, so demure.
Get him out of his shell.
But once he takes his pill, within 20 minutes, his charisma is all over. Yes, he's just a warehouse of charisma. But it's so what's the word I'm looking for? It's just so
inspiring and insulting.
Thank you. It really is. I mean, it's inspiring to be next to that person, to see the kind of energy and enthusiasm and passion that they give to these reads. And you think, well, why can't I do that? And you get in your car after the reading and think, wow, yeah, Charlie really was on his game today. Wow, he's just bottomless energy. I'm going to try to do that next time, but it's so inspiring to be around these
That's
geniuses.
awesome.
I will, I'll echo what we heard, the name we heard before, D. Bradley. It was, that's the voice of Perry the Platypus is a singular thing, because nothing was ever written. It's like, how do you sound like a platypus? I don't know. But he created this ticking kind of character that I remember bringing my young son to one of my early recordings of the show. And he sat there and listened, and he did the entire character for him. He did the entire Pledge of Allegiance as Perry the Platypus. And it was just absolutely mind-boggling. And my little son at the time was about 6 years old, and he was just in awe of it. But I mean, I look at him and I go, that's, there's an imagination in there. And I admired him so greatly.
That's so awesome. Thank you guys for sharing all of this, all your knowledge, your insight, your reaction to others in the industry. It's all very beautiful, and the fans are just reacting awesomely in the chat. So we appreciate you for being here. We're completely out of time. I appreciate you all hanging on a little bit longer, because I think we just had such a cool conversation.
Well, actually, I didn't really finish my introduction.
Well, John, you're going to give us
okay.
But John, we've actually got a request for you to do the outro. So let's Rhea Powell would like you to outro everybody. But I just want to go around the room and give everyone one more shot, just to say hey to all the fans that are watching, and any sort of things you want to say as we kind of close out here. Bob, why don't we start with you, since we started with you?
Well, thank you for tuning in. We know I heard it when we were starting. How many are there? 3. I'm like 3. I think it's 300. But God bless you for coming. We all probably have 1,000,005 NDAs that we can't talk about. But what I will say is, guys, I got some cool stuff coming up.
Awesome.
Just pay attention. It'll be popping up soon. In the meantime, Looney Tunes cartoons on HBO Max, the finest stuff we've ever done with these characters, with the exception of Duck Dodgers with John O'Hurley.
Yes, awesome. Alanna?
Yes. Oh gosh, you can find me on Monsters Inc. And I believe that's coming out next year with Mr. John Goodman, and I'm very, very excited about that. So we made it into a series. Also, Crossing Swords, you can find, we're going into 2nd season for Hulu. I'm on Filthy Rich on camera for Fox.
I love that show.
It's
that's
coming
the
back.
New, I saw the previews. Oh my God, it was fantastic.
Oh, it's dirty, Southern Gothic at its finest.
Fantastic.
Super fun. And so you can catch me in that, and just really looking forward to things coming around. Obviously, yes, we have signed 1 million NDAs and we can't really talk about it, but yes, pay attention, as this gentleman right here clarified. Yes.
I like that. Pay attention. Debbie?
Keep your eyes and ears open.
Let's see. Well, of course, on Netflix, watch F is for Family, where you can hear me curse
so good.
7 different characters.
So good.
It's so much fun talking to myself. And then on Cartoon Adult Swim, you can watch Tig Tone, and I'm Helpy, and that's so much fun. And then NDA for you guys are non-disclosure agreements, and it's what we sign when we take on a project that we can't tell you about. But the new Crash Bandicoot, I'm Coco in those. You can hear those. And Wasteland, I think, just came out. And I have a couple episodes of Loud House that just came out. And I'm working all the time. I hope you guys love Care Bears. And then there's, I'm looking around my room to see what other things are out right now because I know
she was wonderful in the Addams Family.
Yes, Wednesday. Oh, iconic.
She was awesome.
Wednesday.
Iconic. So good.
It's just so much fun. Thank you guys for coming and hearing us and learn about voiceover. And you can go to my website and there's a couple videos on there, like intro into VO if you want to see if it's for you. And you can get my book on Amazon or my website. And thanks.
Yay. Bob, to your point, we barely scratched the surface with intros for all of you. You've done so much amazing voice work and, in-person acting as well. So we appreciate all being here. John?
What?
You got to take us home. Take us home.
Yes, I will. I have a singular opportunity right now, which has made me especially happy. I'm on this website that I think we're all on or seen or heard called cameo.com. And it's a fun thing to do. And it's a wonderful shout out type of format. But I'll tell you, I enjoy it because it has given me permission now to resurrect J. Peterman again. And I write these personalized J. Peterman stories for every situation, from people for birthdays or graduations, stage 4 cancer patients, pep talks to people, and again to kids and stuff. And it gives me a chance to take this wonderfully iconic, weird character that is blessed with a sense of poetic wisdom, and keep him going again. And I love doing it. So I have a lot of other things doing, but that's the thing that I'm enjoying the most right now. So that being said, it's time to say goodbye to all of our friends, to thank you very much for being a wonderful host, and thanks, to all of my compadres here in the voice industry, far more intelligent than I am in this crazy, crazy profession. I say congratulations on a job done.
I'm not even going to try and top that. Please, you can, speaking of Cameo, you can get video recorded messages, autographs, and special one-on-one chats with all of these amazing folks, whether you're watching this live or watching it later in the week at wizardworldvirtual.com. So definitely take advantage of those. Please give it up for these amazing actors. It was such a pleasure talking to them today. We got a voice acting class here. So whether you're watching this live or later on, thanks for being here. One more time.
Can I say one quick thing?
Go. Yes, for sure.
That's all, folks.
There it is.
Big. Excellent, Porky Pig.
Let's hear it. Show me those emojis for Bob Bergen, John O'Hurley, Alanna Ubach, and Debi Derryberry.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh, thanks so much for tuning in. Continue to follow us at Wizard World on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, and Twitch, and all of the things, Twitter.
Hi, this is Aaron Ashmore, and you are watching Fandom Spotlight. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe like now. Oh, and have fun and follow your fandom.